On this week's episode, I'm going to be covering the infamous Nissan GTR Bellhousing, the issues I had, the symptoms I had, and what we had to do to replace it. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. On this channel, I like to showcase the automotive culture and the positive impact it has on the community. And if you're a car enthusiast or like anything about cars, please be sure to hit the subscribe button for future videos. Also, if you guys didn't know, I'm doing a pre-order for a bunch of boosted MPLS apparel. So the winter's coming. Figured this would be a great time to release a bunch of hoodies. I released all the merch on Instagram and Facebook. If you're interested in pre-ordering one, we are doing a pre-order until November 13th. And all the orders will be shipping out the end of November. The link to the website and the store will be in the description, so please support the channel. If you guys haven't been following along, on the last episode or segment, I showed that the car was at Eurocharge Minneapolis. That's who's doing all the work for me. And they had just removed the motor. We didn't have to remove the motor necessarily to remove the bell housing and install the new one, but it made things a lot easier, and we had to remove the motor anyways. And I'll address that in a future episode. This episode, I'm going to be discussing the infamous Nissan GTR bell housing issue. So I say infamous because the Nissan GTR bell housing has always been a weak point due to the separation of the engine and the transmission. The bell housing is mounted on the back of the engine where it has needed to adapt to a rearward-facing driveshaft going towards the transmission. Nissan was not really able to come up with a better design where the transmission was more firmly in place. So as a result, there's a chronic push and pull effect between the transmission and the engine. And this happens anytime you accelerate or decelerate. So with that constant push and pull effect that's happening, the bell housing is an unfortunate weak link of all of this. So the bell housing was made of aluminum. There was a bearing that was kind of the weak point. This bearing would take most of the damage from that acceleration or deacceleration, and over time it would just fail. So this issue has become infamous. Every GTR basically has to have the bell housing replaced at some point in its life. Me, I think I was lucky enough. My car just hit the 75,000 mile mark and I'm just having to replace it now. However, I've heard of other GTRs that have had to get this replaced anywhere from even 10,000 miles on. Number one sign of telling if your bell housing is shot or not is to really get the car on a lift. You want to look at the drive shaft. If there's any movement or play or anything like that, like this, that basically means your bell housing's shot. Another sign that might not be as obvious. When I was getting my car tuned previously, I would have issues of the tuner seeing a lot of knock on my knock sensor. That was actually happening due to how bad my bell housing was, that it was creating that much movement to the motor itself, that there was just so much movement from the bell housing, and the tuner would just see a engine knock from the knock sensor. So now just to dissect the good bell housing versus the bad bell housing, I'm going to shoot it over to Dave Rasmussen. He's the lead tech over at Eurocharge Minneapolis. I will pass it along to Dave.
Well, got it out. Found pieces of the isolator in here that are supposed to go right there, in comparison to the new bell housing right here, where you can see all the isolators are in it, in the springs.
How much plays in this thing?
Tight.
Solid.
That I upgraded to had a steel bearing that was in there, and it was much stronger than the OEM bearing. The other thing and the reason why I went with this company was because they have a warranty. So if your GTR is under 1,000 horsepower, they'll warranty the bell housing for a year. And if you're interested in getting this bell housing, I would suggest reaching out to AJ at Eurocharge Minneapolis. They're the company, they work with that supplier. Bell housing itself isn't terribly expensive. It's about $1,500. The labor is kind of the more intensive part. So, and since I was removing the motor for a separate issue, I figured it'd be a perfect time to address the bell housing. Now that my bell housing has been replaced, it has honestly been a night and day difference. I have been able to notice a significant improvement in throttle response. My car sounds a lot quieter, and to be quite honest with you guys, I really just got used to the noise until it got really, really bad. So that's why I'm making this video, for other fellow GTR owners to know kind of the signs of when the bell housing is going bad. In the midst of all of this, I also had my car converted to E85. So we needed to get it retuned. AJ at Eurocharge Minneapolis was able to get my car tuned on flex fuel, and when he tuned it, he was able to tune it to the max, really. We came to a conclusion where the fuel pumps needed to be upgraded, but just because there was only a couple more weeks in the season left, I really just wanted to kind of just get my car out, finish the rest of the season, and then look to do the pumps later on in the spring. But before, when I had the bell housing issue, I wasn't even able to get my car tuned properly because of that engine knock sensor and the knock that it was, sensing. Yeah, not good. So with all that being said, guys, I hope this video helps you. It's a really annoying issue with the GTR platform, the R35 platform, I should say. But if you haven't gotten it replaced, I would really consider getting it replaced. And if you're local here in Minnesota, I would definitely suggest going to Eurocharge Minneapolis. These guys absolutely treated me with the utmost respect. If you guys have any questions, please be sure to leave them in the comments below. So that's a wrap. Thanks again for watching the video. Peace.